Good morning, and welcome to your AIDailyPress morning podcast for November 25. I'm your host, Walter. Firstly, in a concerning escalation of rhetoric, President Trump has made comments that have been perceived as violent and intimidating towards lawmakers involved in the COP30 summit. The situation has raised concerns about polarization and safety in American politics. Capitol Police have increased security measures for the lawmakers involved, and Democratic leaders are calling on Republicans to condemn the president's comments. Secondly, the highly anticipated COP30 summit in Brazil has hit a major roadblock as countries struggle to come to an agreement on a fossil fuel exit strategy. Despite growing concerns over climate change, many nations are hesitant to commit to a plan that would phase out fossil fuels. The European Union, United Kingdom, and Germany are among the nations pushing for a commitment to phase out fossil fuels, while others, such as Brazil and Argentina, appear more hesitant. Lastly, in a surprise move, New York City Mayor-elect Zoran Mamdani is set to meet with President Trump at the White House today to discuss the affordability crisis plaguing the city. The meeting comes as Mamdani prepares to take office, having run on a campaign promise to address the rising cost of living in New York City. Despite their past differences, both leaders seem willing to put aside their disagreements and work towards finding solutions. These are just brief summaries of our top stories today. For more in-depth coverage and analysis, please visit our website or tune in to our evening podcast for further updates. Now for the latest in social and cultural news, here is Barbara Waters.
You, Walter, and then she'll know it's right now. We begin with the latest developments on the Jeffrey Epstein files story. President Trump has signed the Epstein Files Transparency Act into law, paving the way for the release of documents related to the convicted sex offender. The Department of Justice has 60 days to gather and prepare the documents, but certain exceptions apply, including information that could identify victims or classified material. In other news, former U.S. Vice President Dick Cheney was laid to rest in a ceremony at the Washington National Cathedral, attended by politicians from both sides of the aisle. Cheney's legacy will be remembered as complex and multifaceted, marked by significant achievements and controversies. And finally, we take a look at the ongoing situation in Venezuela, where the U.S. government has designated the Cartel de los Soles as a foreign terrorist organization. The move marks a significant escalation in U.S.-Venezuela relations, with potential implications for regional stability and global security. We'll keep a close eye on these stories and bring you updates as more information becomes available. Now for the latest in business and finance, here is Louis Riskwiser.
Thank you, Barbara. Firstly, NVIDIA's impressive earnings report has sent shockwaves through the tech industry. But we're also keeping a close eye on the concerns surrounding the tech sector's lofty valuations and concentration risks. Our article highlights the need for investors to remain vigilant and consider diversification strategies to mitigate potential losses. In other news, home improvement retailers Lowe's and Home Depot have reported mixed earnings results, with Lowe's seeing an uptick in sales driven by strength in pro sales and online growth, while Home Depot cut its profit guidance due to continued pressure in the housing market. We're watching closely to see how these companies adapt to changing consumer demand. Lastly, India is making strides towards becoming a major listing hub for companies in the Asia region. With its growing economy, increasing scale, and improving market infrastructure, attracting attention from global investors and issuers alike. However, to achieve this goal, India needs to deepen its institutional capital pool and refine 5 key pillars: deeper institutional capital, richer research and analysis ecosystem, stronger governance and stewardship, smoother listing process and funnel, and wider valuation framework. Now for the latest in science and technology, here is Carl Starman.
Thank you, Louis. Firstly, we discussed the challenges facing NASA's budget and the potential implications for future space missions. The U.S. government's proposed budget cuts have raised concerns among scientists and industry experts who fear that these reductions could hinder progress in space exploration and development. In our second article, we explored the latest developments at Blue Origin, the private aerospace manufacturer founded by Jeff Bezos. The company has announced substantial upgrades to its New Glenn rocket, which will increase payload performance, launch cadence, and reliability. These enhancements position Blue Origin as a major player in the competitive space industry. Lastly, we looked at the upcoming launch of the Nancy Grace Roman Space Telescope, scheduled for no later than May. This cutting-edge observatory will utilize innovative techniques such as astroseismology and microlensing to make groundbreaking discoveries about the Milky Way galaxy and beyond. By studying the ages and properties of stars, scientists hope to gain valuable insights into exoplanet formation, stellar evolution, and the history of our galaxy. These stories represent just a few examples of the exciting advancements being made in space exploration and technology. As we continue to push the boundaries of what's possible, we're reminded of the infinite possibilities that lie before us and the profound impact that human curiosity can have on our understanding of the universe. Now for the latest in sports, here is Howard Closewell.
Thank you, Carl. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another exciting edition of the AIDailyPress Morning Podcast. First off, let's talk about the Houston Texans as they gear up to take on the Buffalo Bills in a crucial Thursday night football showdown. The Texans are seeking their third consecutive win, while the Bills are looking to bounce back from a tough loss. We've got expert analysis and predictions for what promises to be an intense matchup. In other news, we're following the story of Stanford football as they reboot their program under the leadership of former Cardinal quarterback and NFL star Andrew Luck. With his unique blend of football expertise and Stanford pride, Luck is tasked with guiding the team through a period of transition and building a culture of excellence that will propel them back to prominence. And finally, we're keeping an eye on the latest developments in the NFL season, including injury reports and playoff implications. From the Kansas City Chiefs to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, we've got you covered with the latest news and updates. So sit back, relax, and get ready for a thrilling discussion of all things sports. Now for the latest in travel and human interest, here is Charles Curl.
Thank you, Howard. First, we explored the story of a group of ordinary people doing extraordinary things in a small coastal town in British Columbia. We met a local fisherman who shared his wisdom on sustainable fishing practices and a group of artisans dedicated to preserving traditional crafts. Their stories reminded us of the importance of community, tradition, and respecting the natural world. Next, we delved into the fascinating world of wildlife conservation, where we encountered a remarkable story of humans living in harmony with nature. Although, this time we looked at an intelligent and social creature, but instead we saw how a federal immigration crackdown, known as Charlotte's Web, has come to an end in Charlotte, North Carolina. The operation resulted in hundreds of arrests and sparked widespread concern among immigrant families and local business owners. Lastly, our third story took us back to the coast of British Columbia, where we reflected on the dignity of ordinary work, the beauty of everyday life, and the importance of tradition. We met a group of people who are dedicated to preserving their cultural heritage through traditional crafts and storytelling. These stories remind us that the extraordinary is often found in the ordinary, and that the most powerful stories are those that come from the heart. Now for the latest in fashion and entertainment, here is Joan Streams.
Thank you, Charles. I'm Joan. Let's dive right into the latest news from Tinseltown. First up, the Academy Awards are getting a shake-up with some major changes announced for next year's ceremony. We'll have all the details on what this means for Hollywood's biggest night. In celebrity news, Kelsea Ballerini and Chase Stokes, one of Hollywood's most beloved couples, have called it quits after 3 years together. We're taking a look back at their most memorable moments and what might be next for these two talented stars. And finally, we're giving you the scoop on the secret beauty wizards behind Hollywood's A-listers. From bespoke facials to body waxing, these experts are the unsung heroes of Tinseltown's glamour machine. We've got the inside track on who's who in the world of celebrity beauty, and why their services are worth every penny. Now for the latest in nature and environment, here is David Attenacher.
Thank you, Joan. Firstly, we explored the fascinating world of feline bug hunting, where domestic cats have been found to be effective pest control agents, but also pose unintended consequences on local wildlife populations. This nuanced topic requires a balanced approach, acknowledging both the joys of cat ownership and the potential ecological impacts. Next, we traveled to California, which is leading the way in biodiversity conservation efforts. The California Academy of Sciences is at the forefront of this movement, making collections accessible to anyone, anywhere, and empowering diverse communities to get involved in protecting the natural world. As Dr. Chris Grinter emphasized, diversity brings strength, and it's essential for the success of these efforts. Lastly, we reported on a major crackdown on wildlife trafficking, where Peruvian authorities seized over 27,000 shark fins destined for China, valued at $11 million. This operation highlights the scale of the global shark fin trade, which is driving many iconic species towards extinction. The demand for shark fins is not only harming shark populations, but also having devastating impacts on marine ecosystems. These stories underscore the importance of international cooperation, conservation efforts, and responsible human actions to protect our planet's precious biodiversity. As we move forward, it's crucial that we address the wildlife trafficking epidemic and ensure the long-term survival of these magnificent creatures. And that completes our morning podcast for today. Thank you for listening. Until this evening, I'm David Attenacher for AI Daily Press, the world's most unbiased news source.